Greetings and welcome to another video. This time I want to touch upon a topic that is widely being discussed under the framework of: is the item system of Final Fantasy boring, or do we need new gearing systems? While these statements contain some truth, there's a longer story to the topic, but we want to take a small glimpse into one of the biggest factors why gearing, while being nearly the same since A REALM REBORN, might feel more dull than ever before, especially since the mid of Shadowbringers, because of one little secondary stat: critical hit. What had originally been designed to amplify those jobs that have critical hit amplification inside of their skill kit, or those that profit of higher crit values due to guaranteed critical hits, now has predominantly become the one stat to rule them all. Yeah, it might be on par with direct hit on certain occasions, and for a job like the Black Mage, spell speed might still be the top stat if you're hunting down a certain spell rotation, but you simply can't go wrong with maxing crit to its fullest either. And that, in my opinion, is a shame. Due to the fact that crit is king, no other stat needs to be considered, besides reaching some very small fractions of skill or spell speed to make rotations work smoothly. And even this has become much easier over time due to the homogenization of jobs inside of the 2-minute rotation meta. I do remember the days of precasting Flamethrower as Machinist and then hitting so hard on your OGCD management that I'm definitely not sure if I would be able to perform the Stormblood rotation nowadays. But even just to get there had been a wild speculation of which ERPs might fit, to not go too much overboard on the skill speed department or have too small values of it. I mean, there were even ping tiers for whatever speed your Ethernet connection could handle. However, even while I welcomed the change in the end of Heavensward when hit rating got replaced with direct hit, this stat has turned into something obsolete. While it can become a cool min-maxing stat for healers to hit the ultimate DPS levels achievable, for nearly all other jobs it is made into a critical hit's little sibling. At least with the changes in early Endwalker, where higher values also increase the chance and damage of direct hits in the same way crit does, but yeah, different. It just feels artificially pushed to serve as the take crit and D-hit and avoid basically all else. That I do welcome as casual gear farmer, but if I would actually enjoy the whole item system more, I might truly have motivation to min-max my gear as well. If we take the slow progression curve of gear upgrades out of our minds, of course. And I do remember that in Shadowbringers we recommended direct hit over crit in a lot of our job guides. And while I'm not the biggest stat theory crafter, this was in line with what other sources implied, and now the whole gearing section shifted and direct hit has become a placeholder for a stat that could easily serve as a rotation shift value or something that would give your job a personal note. Can you imagine a red mage having a stat that would boost its healing output so much that it could easily support healers in single target healing scenarios? Or a reaper going so hard into a defensive value that you could probably shirk enmity to them for soaking a small tank buster, so that you could tackle the encounter with just one tank, for example. This is what I would love to see being added to the game. Maybe not in Dawn Trail as 3 months before the expansion. I firmly believe there are many things set in stone already, but for another expansion after it maybe. Not the boring crit is king and has a little brother stat distribution we have right now. It all started with direct hit being added to the game, and finished the whole thing with being altered to a less powerful version of crit that doesn't get as many amplifiers in game as crit has. Remember Kaiten? Yes, this was all part of it, and while it could be seen as a redundant skill to make the rotation feel artificially bloated, this OGCD was part of the Samurai's identity, and instead of removing it, they should have kept it in place so that it is stronger in certain party compositions, and of course weaker in others. I would have thoroughly enjoyed if a dancer supported samurai would play differently than the one without a dancer, but both leading to the same overall damage output. Or just imagine having spell speed or skill speed affect the total remaining time of buffs and big cooldowns like it kinda does on the summoner bit, but with much more impact. So much that you would have to make the decision of, hey, bigger Felcleys or more of them. I don't expect trinkets or even tier sets or legendary weapons in this game. I have led that discussions many times and people were mostly content with the flat equipment curve this game is offering. But I still believe it could be better than what we have at the moment, and even so that the overall design philosophy is kept in place while having some options to alter your personal playstyle. I mean, this is just my subjective philosophy, and I admittedly have been influenced by the good and bad versions of gearing in World of Warcraft for more than a decade. But I guess if talking about strong points of Final Fantasy, the item system and stat design might not be part of it. But what do you think? Would you love to see Final Fantasy take some steps into a more complex version of its own gearing system? Or would you even love to see it being reduced further and rewards being taken to the cosmetic sector alone, like they handle it in most non-MMORPG MMOs? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and let's hope for some big surprises in Dawntrail. I mean, Yoshi-P didn't just casually highlight a new rewarding structure, right? So until then and next time, stay safe, keep grinding your crit and D-hit gear, and keep loving Final Fantasy.